Teacher Talking Sports here, and tonight we are going to go bargain shopping for Week 13 NFL DraftKings for tomorrow's Sunday slate of games. I got my bag. Let's find those cheap players that we could add to our team. Of course, everyone wants guys such as Devontae Adams and Jonathan Taylor on their roster, but in order to get them, you got to find some less expensive players to fill out the roster. Hopefully, I can help you with that for Week 13. Let's get started. We're going to start at quarterback, and I'm going to start with someone who is $5,600. Matty Ice, Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan hasn't played great of recent. As you can see, 2.68, 4.12 points in weeks 10 and 11, 11.2 last week, but he just performs well against Tampa Bay. I threw for 300 yards in week 2, albeit with 3 interceptions, but did have 2 touchdowns against Tampa. But last year combined for 621 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and no interceptions in his 2 matchups with the Buccaneers. So I do like Matty Ice. Let's go a little bit cheaper for our next guy to 5,300, and that is Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor has both two passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 games, in which he has scored 35.4 total points. The Colts have also given up 26 touchdown passes in 12 games this season. So due to his running ability, Tyrod Taylor has somewhat of a high floor and isn't a bad choice at 5,300. And we're going to go a little cheaper to 5,100. Trevor Lawrence, the first overall pick in the 2021 draft, had his best game in a while, fantasy-wise. It was actually his best game since week 6 last week, when he threw for 228 yards and a touchdown, while also rushing for 39 yards. The Rams do give up 247.6 passing yards a game, so there is the chance that Lawrence can accumulate a decent amount of passing yards. Lawrence also has 95 rushing yards the last 3 games, which helps with fantasy points. And I just kind of expect the Rams to jump out to a lead where Lawrence might have to throw from behind, and maybe he could pick up that garbage time touchdown. That would help his final line. Those are my 3 quarterbacks. We're going to move to a running back, and I'm going to start with DJ Dallas at 4,900. Now, I did get a little worried by the news that Adrian Peterson has been called up by the Seahawks. But they're 3-8, and Adrian Peterson didn't show much with Tennessee. Is Pete Carroll really gonna give Adrian Peterson a lot of playing time? Dallas did see a season high 60% of the snaps last week. Allen Collins fumbled last week. Really hasn't done much of anything in the starting role with Chris Collins out. So now that they're kind of coming close to officially being out of the playoff hunt, I just expect to see more of Dallas. He's the youngest of the 3, way younger than Adrian Peterson. I think he's 4 years younger than Alex Collins. So I was expecting Dallas to get even more playing time. Let's see if Carroll decides to play Peterson often, but I still like DJ Dallas at 4,900. $100 cheaper, Rex Burkhead. Rex Burkhead should get a lot of playing time. David Johnson has not practiced all week due to both a thigh injury and an illness. So if he does not suit up, we've already seen Burkhead receive 30 carries in the past 2 games and 3 catches in last week's game. David Johnson is that third down back, so if he doesn't play, expect Burkhead to stay on the field as well during most passing downs. So even though he hasn't necessarily been effective with his amount of touches, that could be different story in uh, tomorrow's game against Indianapolis, especially if he gets those PPR receptions. That would be a big help. And the third guy I'm going to name is Sony Michel at 4,300. Keep an eye on whether or not Darrell Henderson plays. He has a thigh injury that has left him at questionable. Didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. If Michel can get the lead carries, he did have 20 carries for 67 yards, as well as 3 catches for 12 yards in his start against Tampa Bay in week 3. Has been seeing not a whole lot of carries in recent weeks, 7 over the last 2 games. But head coach Sean McVay did have some positive things to say about him heading into the week. So if Michel gets that lead running back position with Henderson out, expect them to do some things. Next, let's move to the wide receivers. We're going to start at 4,400, and he hasn't done much since he came back from injury, but he did have a touchdown last week. That's T.Y. Hilton, first touchdown of the year in last week's game against the Buccaneers. But he has just owned the Texans in his career. In 19 career games against Houston, he has 101 catches for 1,798 yards and 11 touchdowns. Even in his first game he played this season, that was against Houston, he had 4 catches for 80 yards. And in the 2 games last year, he combined for 12 receptions for 181 yards and a touchdown. So he just always seems to put his best performances together against the Houston Texans. Next at 4,400 as well, Laviska Shenault Jr. He does have been targeted 22 times over the last 3 games. The second round pick in 2020 caught 5 of those passes last week. Yes, for only 33 yards. I just think he's due for a touchdown. He has not scored yet, and I'm predicting he gets in the end zone. Maybe in garbage time. Like I said, Trevor Lawrence could possibly put up a garbage time touchdown at the end. Let's see if it's to Shenault Jr. Then at 4,000, we got Curtis Samuel, who's listed as questionable. He is expected to play a second straight week, as you can see in the note. While his role may grow, he's unlikely to become a full-time player. That's fine because he's only 4,000. But with J.D. McKissick out, we know Curtis Samuel gets a lot of carries, especially in his time with Carolina. I could see him playing that McKissick role in Sunday's game against the Raiders. And if he does that, he could be a very valuable player at $4,000. And it looks like at 3,900, yes, you see Devontae Parker was activated off injured reserve. He will play on Sunday against the Giants. In his 5 games this season, he's averaged 5 catches for 65.4 yards per game. Yes, Jalen Waddle has definitely become Tua's favorite wide receiver, but Parker's been productive when he's played, and at this price point, he could definitely provide you value. And the last guy I'm going to mention, who is more of a diamond in the rough guy, is Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds caught his first touchdown pass of the season last week. 3 catches for 70 yards on 5 targets. Again, the Lions really have no one at wide receiver. Reynolds made his first start last week, and Jared Goff just has that connection with him from their previous time on the Rams. I think he could provide excellent value at 3,400. And we are going to name one tight end. That will be at 2,700, very cheap price. Foster Moreau with Darren Waller out for the game. Moreau should move into a prominent role. He will be the starting tight end, as you could see in the analysis. When Waller sat out, he played all of the in week 7. He played all of the Raiders' 63 offensive snaps, finished with a 661 line. So Derek Carr loves looking for that tight end, especially Waller. But if Waller's out, Moreau is an excellent choice. Has 2 other touchdowns on the year besides that touchdown he had when Darren Waller was out. So that is my bargain shopping tight end for the week. So what do you guys think? Which cheap players are you looking to take in week 13? Any of the guys I named? Do you have some of your favorites? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. Help this teacher out. I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.